Welcome back to this month's Roundtable, your all-in-one comprehensive view of what's happening across the real estate industry, straight from some of the industry's earliest technology adopters and foremost experts in brokerage, cybersecurity, government policy, construction, marketing, and more. As always, this is a three-part show. I'm Andreas Senie, founder, CRE Collaborative, brokerage owner, commercial director at KW, and technology growth strategist. Joining me this month is none other than Dan Wagner as VP Government Relations at Inland. Dan, nice to see you.
Hey, Andreas, it's an honor to be here, and we're ready for February for the wonderful world of Valentine's Day, and most importantly for me is Abraham Lincoln's birthday, February 12th.
We're going to go. Absolutely. Thank you, Dan, for being here. We missed you in January, but now in February, I'm sure we'll get the update. Also joining us, none other than Rebekah Carlson, Carlson Integrated, all things marketing, our marketing maven. Becca, nice to have you back with us.
Fantastic to be here. And I'm with Dan. Actually, I have a child whose birthday is the 12th. And so we are huge celebrators of Lincoln's birthday and her birthday simultaneously.
I love it. I love it. February is a great month. Not as great as May when I was born, but February is a great month. So fair enough. And last but certainly not least, joining us, Chris Abel, Associated Builders and Contractors, all things construction. And Saul may or may not be joining us in a few. We'll see. Chris, welcome back. Nice to see you.
I am also a May baby, so we got 2 votes for May, 2 votes for February.
Good. We are also split evenly, Chicago and Connecticut on the shows right now, at least.
What's the temperature in Chicago right now? That's what I want to know.
We have a tropical heat wave.
Yeah, we're at 30.
30.
Yeah, it's actually, it's kind of warm here. 35, 30? I don't know. It's going to get cold this weekend. I know that.
Well, all I can say about the commercial real estate market and the economy overall continues to heat up in 2026. Not to say Inland's still hiring. Dan, you brought on yet another C-suite executive?
We did. We were so excited. About a month or two ago, we brought in Lou Kruk for our institutional platform, and he's our CEO of that company. And then we just started on Monday was Matt Freeze, who is now the president and CEO of our Inland Investment company. And we're real excited about having Matt on board and Lou, and we just are poised for excitement and hitting the stratosphere with these guys. They're really, really good. So
Inland is still always buying.
We are out there in the market. Just let us know. Yes, we're always buying.
All right, Chris, I've been waiting to talk to you. The construction industry heating up. I see jobs moving here. What's the latest and greatest on your side of the fence?
Let's see. We got a lot of different jobs that are just kind of waiting to get started here in the Northeast, at least in our area. Tough to pour concrete to get these jobs lifted off the ground when there's, 1.5 foot of snow or whatever you got left hanging around. So some of the jobs are being, a lot of the GCs and CMs are busy, but not busy at the same time. They just, they're going to have a time where all of a sudden, they're going to have to get these slabs down. They're going to have to get the subs moving and get things rocking and rolling. Most of the contractors I'm bumping into are one or the other. They're busy in that kind of holding pattern, kind of waiting around to kind of figure out when these jobs are going to get moving, but they're not really, other than maybe some backlog filling for late 2026 and 2027, they're not really, they're kind of hanging tight to go, all right, we're going to have to get back to work as soon as this stuff kind of clears out. And then you do have some subcontractors I've been chatting with that are just trying to chase work and find little gaps and little things to get rocking and rolling. So it's good. Things are good. I'm busy. I can tell you, I'm always busy, but right now I'm very busy on the association front, welcoming new members pretty much every day at this point, which is wild.
3, 4, 5 years running, greatest retention rate for the country over there at Associated Builders.
Well, always in the top. last year I was 52 top, but always in the top, always over 90%, always growing, always moving forward and trying to show value. But I'm excited about the new members coming on board. It's pretty cool, and they're coming in kind of, I don't want to say droves, but they're coming in on a regular basis again, which is what I really like.
Well, whenever you come on in, as long as you don't say we're struggling to find labor, we're struggling to find the people, that's a happy day for me, especially here in 2026 as we shift from, I don't know, quote unquote crisis mode to stable, opportunity driven, what I refer to as pockets of opportunity here in Connecticut, right? Capital re-engaging. Becca knows all about that on the marketing side. She's out there working with said capital. Becca, what's the latest and greatest on your side?
It has really been January was a month where a lot of our clients were investing in marketing because they are deploying capital, because there are transactions coming to market. So we've been incredibly busy working with capital sources as well as with brokerages to really amplify their marketing and to get the news out there about new listings and things like that. So we are seeing nationally a lot of movement in the commercial real estate investment industry.
So it's fair to say that the flight to quality as well, let me back up. Flight to quality, which was a statement everyone made last year about office, is now shifting to AI and demand-driven infrastructure everywhere, right? Prop tech. And not for nothing, I want to thank our audience, 6,000 plus tune-ins and downloads monthly. And we are again partnered with CRE Tech this year as a media partner, CRE Tech being the largest gathering of Wall Street and built world tech. So that in mind, and Inland always buying, AI, reshoring, driven demand. Your capital clients are out there pushing us. We as brokerages are out there looking for deals and promoting deals. Where is Inland's focus changed? This is over to Dan.
Well, so Inland's focus has not changed. We are not in that space. The Inland is not into purchasing data centers. That's not what we do. We're like, McDonald's. We know how to make hamburgers, and we're sticking to it. So we love all of the different food groups of multifamily, grocery anchored shopping, senior, student housing, and of course, we have this incredible self-storage company, Devon, that we purchased, and that's all that is going really, really well. But I will, if I could, I will take a moment to talk about the data center issues. So I'm also the chair and now the acting CEO and president of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce. And one of the big things out there is energy. And there's in a suburb of Chicago is Naperville, which is the third largest city in Illinois. And a gentleman purchased the Lucid Technology building in Naperville and tore it down and was planning on putting up a 200,000 square foot data center. And then he ran into a group of NIMBYs, and the NIMBYs got him to bring the data center to 100,000 square feet. And they're thinking this is going to be a no-brainer. And it came to the city, and the city council voted no. And this guy was left holding the bag with this amazing and much needed data center. But the negativity that's out there has grown to where in the town next to Naperville is a town called Lisle. There was a first night hearing of talking about a data center, and that was going to be a 200,000 square foot data center that was going to go into a brownfield in the community where no homes are around it. But over 300 people showed up, and they had to cancel the meeting because the meeting room wasn't large enough. So the community, I think there's a massive people disinformation or whatever. People really are very scared of data centers and what they could mean to increasing their utility costs, water usage, and those are some major issues, and sound coming from them. And we need data centers. So it's a really big deal locally here. And The other thing I could get into, I'll stop there, but the other thing I could get into is the whole energy issue. And we all want to get off of fossil fuels, but as we experience here in the Midwest and other places around the country, the sub-zero temperatures, the fossil fuels is what kept us warm. And that discussion of what happens in the future and how that is impacted for commercial real estate is real. So that's a big deal.
Well, at least here, the warmer the weather, the longer we deal with global warming, the more attractive Connecticut becomes. I'll say it again. I've said it before. Inland didn't invest above the Sun Belt till recently in New Jersey with that public storage acquisition incredibly well. That being said, thank you. NIMBY is still a problem anywhere and everywhere we do real estate, right? Wherever there's development, there's always opposition to growth. The reality is, well-run municipalities that plan for it and account for it, like Shelton, Connecticut, and yes, I'll say, shameless plug, to a town that not only I reside, but we represent, moratoriums on new development, unless it was multifamily downtown, revitalized downtown, opportunity zones, right?
Right.
Those pockets of profitability in partnership with the cities. It's huge. That's how we get to where we need to be as we continue to grow. That all being said, Becca, AI marketing driven demand. I'm curious to know more. And thank you, by the way, for giving me some insights on one thing that I'll share with our audience. I, like many others, and Chris will laugh at this, just like Chris's members, there are many of us out here in commercial real estate that don't have the latest and greatest in websites because it did the job, right? It looked good. We just had to exist online. And I've now been told that that's no longer good enough. So I'm going to pause there. And I'm going to pass it back to Becca in the AI world we live in. Go ahead.
Well, when you and I talked about your website.
Oh, not my website, a website, but thank you. Go ahead.
When you and I talked about that one website thing that we were looking at online that one day, there historically has been a feeling that if you're an established business, there's a little bit of like, oh, we're too cool to have a good website because we don't really need to, because we're established and we've been doing this for 50 years, etc. But what we've discovered over the past several years is even clients who have been in business for 50 or even 100 years, their lenders are looking at their websites, and the lenders might change generationally, right? Like there's a younger set of lenders and they stop believing that the company's credible. So that how you look online becomes important, as generationally the employees of the people who would look you up are starting to get a little bit younger, and consider that almost like the greens fee, right? That is like existing in a positive and professional stance online actually is meaningful to your business credibility. So we are not typically the ones to educate someone on that. They tend to come to us and ask some questions, and I love that we get to help them because they are phenomenal, established, generational companies, and to be able to help them put their best foot forward and to look like the amazing organizations they are in in an online setting is really an incredible honor.
Of course, to be trusted with that, right? To build that brand online now when that brand is more important than ever. And the reason I mentioned Chris, and yes, our brokerage site was 50% of the industry is offline. We do deals through our networks. Network is net worth. Chris Abel and the associated builders and contractors, the union shops, they get awarded contracts. They didn't need websites. Half of them barely had a website to begin with last we spoke. But I got put in my place. We're now upgrading our website, and it's got to look better than ever. Even though I'm on the first page of Google, and even though I'm found in the AI systems, if you look for our services, we're all there. So it's now not just sponsorships and attending and network and net worth. It's, as you pointed out, this next generation who, if they don't see that website and it doesn't move and click and do all these things, we're screwed. Keeping in mind, those tuning in, you already know we do host 27 million properties on our platform, CRECo.ai. But my brokerage, it's getting caught up. That's all I'm saying. Inland's website is fantastic. Becca's work fantastic. Chris,
Inland's redoing their websites this year. It's amazing. I've gotten to be a part of some conversations with some other colleagues at Inland, and it's going to be really exciting to see what emerges from the process that they're going through.
Inland's coming out with a new site. It's not Inland is always buying. I'm sorry, it's a trademark. It works.
Their business isn't changing. They're just upgrading their website.
Yes. Thank you, Becca. Oh my gosh.
Fair enough.
Becca is loved by Inland, though, so you should all know that.
There you go.
We're all friends of Inland, and Inland does it right. Not only do they win AI awards, but tech enablement awards and everything else.
We do. Our tech folks are very good. Absolutely. Jovan, we love you, Jovan.
So, Chris, you're going to take this show and send it to all your members now, the ones that are still just using fax machines, right?
That's it. We actually I got a fax probably like 2 weeks ago, first time in a really long time. So yeah. It was from a school.
The most secure form of communication. For the record.
So it was from the problem is no one ever checks to see if there's a piece of paper where the fax, typically comes out. So it might be 3 weeks later when someone's like, wait a second, what's this down here? They had, it was a school that sent it. So I was still using it in the schools. You mentioned before about the, labor shortage stuff. I will say, like, the numbers I'm hearing now are 350, 360,000, somewhere around there, which is still a major crisis. But, we were talking 500, we were talking 560, 600, just a couple short years ago, not even, to be honest with you. It was even more recent than that. So now I feel like it's still a major crisis, but they're starting to look into like very specifics. Who's retiring the most? When are they retiring? There was something I was told the other day where, for every like 10 electricians that are retiring in the next year and a half, they're only a replacement rate of about 4, which is not, that's a serious situation. Then again, a couple of years ago, it might've been more like, 2, but I will say our education center and some of the other schools I've spoken with, they're doing really well. Just a matter of keep plugging away and keep those numbers moving in the right direction so we can keep closing the skills gap.
That's absolutely right. Highly trained, skilled people are worth their weight, and there is no replacement for experience.
Absolutely.
So that statement, I want to thank my co-hosts here for showing up for this show and just showing excellence in all they do, client relationships and in partnerships. So thank you for that.
Well,
now, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to highlight the other thing that we could never stop thinking about is, when we talk about NIMBYs or whatever, we talk about politics. And we all have to remember that you need to be registered to vote. And we have the primaries are going to be coming up here soon. And then the midterm elections are a big deal. And if the things swing the other way, which with everything going on in the country right now, it seems that could be a possibility with how close the House is. And the thought is that the House would become Democrat and the Senate would stay Republican, but who knows? It all changes, as we know, constantly out there. But when it comes to commercial real estate, the tax code is a really big deal. And we're always constantly monitoring for the 1031 like-kind exchange. And we are still educating our elected officials, but having those relationships for anybody that's out there and over the 6,000 people that are watching us, it's super important to get a relationship with your local, state, and national elected officials, because we never know when we have to be able to reach out to them and let them know what's going on. So that's my plug for being engaged and being an engaged citizen and understanding what's going on, because it is unbelievable the things that government can do to you. And so often government is looked to as the piggy bank for government. So we have to be very vigilant for that. And whatever state you're in, it still is always the same. We have to be able to have the boots on the ground, know what's going on. Are those realtors out there? And of course, we're so blessed for having RPAC, the National Association of Realtors, Shannon McGann and her team to be able to fight for us in Washington. So that's my 2 cents.
And it's an important 2 cents, right? 70% of our audience here in North America, especially, please reach out and tune in. 19% in Europe, please say nice things about us here in America, because it does matter.
Yes.
If Saul were here, he would remind our audience, I believe he would anyways, that the data standards that we deploy in our licensing as real estate practitioners is at the forefront, globally. That being said, and it must be said, around me, I see a lot of fellow brokers, agents falling back from the National Association of Realtors. And as an aside, they built the roads, they built plumbing, right? The NAR has done an incredible job for us for many years in many ways, like RPAC and others. So let's not let a shortfall that is in short term dissuade you from continuing a long-term membership. Almost everyone on this call is a member of NAR, except for Chris, but he would be if he was a licensed individual. I gotta believe it. You are who you're with.
Absolutely.
And personally, I put my money where my mouth is. I just sent $1,800 into RPAC, and I'm going to, the President's Circle is something that's coming up where I make sure to do $2,000 a year, where NAR identifies those members of Congress that are our friends, and then I give accordingly to who our friends are that they highlight. And so then I'm a member of the President's Circle as well. So being involved with NAR is so important, and the value that they provide is the best insurance policy for our industry. And for the local, state, national level, the realtors are there for us. And with you never know what kind of a deal you are going to be in, and for commercial realtors especially, we need to fight for them. So there you go.
Well, and not just that, to be clear, and the National Association of Realtors has a code of ethics, right? It has a standard that is above common day practitioners, right? There is a requirement for clear representation, honesty, fiduciary care, things of that nature. Sign up, or rather be so far above the benchmark and the bar they set that you don't have to, but it's a very high bar. So glad to be a member of NAR, glad to be surrounded by members of NAR. Next time, Dan, you can split some of that donation to the show. Just kidding. I am proud to say we will continue to be a commercial-free show. We're here to provide knowledge and to have this candid conversation. And it seems to be working because the audience keeps growing.
And Andreas, could you highlight that in regards to the social media world? You said at one time we're in what top percent of shows?
Per Google, we are in the top 10% of shows globally by visits. That's the 5,000 plus range. Now, to be fair, to get from the top 10 to the top 5, we've got to break the hundreds and hundreds of thousands. So I'm going to ask our audience to help us get there. But until then, it's a great place to be. And more importantly, it is quality over quantity.
So what can our audience do? They can share,
rate, review. Matter of fact, we have something like 36 comments in here. You've got a few supporters yourself there, Dan. Some that love Becca, some that love you, Chris. A lot of different notes, different comments, and as always, we try to stay politically neutral. So I'm not going to restate them, but thank you all of you for commenting in. If you bring in a real estate related question, marketing, cybersecurity, policy, we're happy to give you a shout out on the show. But thank you again for tuning in to our entire audience. So that being said, on the brokerage side, I'm going to go a bit further. It's here. We are halfway through the show. It is a 3-part show. The latest trends impacting our industry and especially brokerage, as we just stated. AI the demand on the infrastructure electricity that AI requires, data centers. As Dan pointed out, Inland stays true to its core principles, which is to invest in multifamily, to invest in
Self-storage,
self-storage. Thank you.
student housing.
Your fundamentals in multifamily, industrial, self-storage stay true and work well. But the biggest opportunity I see is the fact that office remains bifurcated. They're newer, well-located, amenitized buildings are charging great rents, and the ones that are failing to keep up are prime pieces of real estate that we can reposition into something newer, like housing. In many cases, at least that's what we're doing here in Connecticut. To that end, Chris, what would you say is the biggest impact or the biggest change in your industry on the construction side now in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing growth in kind of the same type of sectors that you've kind of mentioned. School, a lot of school stuff, a lot of reconstruction, office to residential space. As far as changes, I mean, I'm really not seeing overall. I'm not seeing a ton of changes. More companies and more contractors trying to get further along with their kind of their digital adoption and using AI and being selective in the way that they are picking and choosing their jobs and trying to stay in their lanes. Obviously, the multifamily stuff is absolutely booming. Anywhere someone could put up a large amount of apartments or a large amount of condominiums or something that, large populations can live in and kind of use for multi-use and not really go too far out of their zone to get everything they need is super popular. But the healthcare space is kicking off, especially here in the Northeast. There's always something going up, but like Connecticut Children's just put up a new tower here in Hartford. That was a huge project. There's more things going up as we speak, and people breaking ground on all sorts of different avenues. But I would say the adoption of leveraging technology, trying to prove efficiency, trying to make things happen pretty much as simple as possible with as little as possible. I know that sounds a little bit cliche and a little bit strange, but they can't just produce people over and over and over again just to come out and start doing the work. They can't just sit there and rely on AI. Construction is truly something where you have to use no pun intended, every type of tool that is out there, including capital too, including figuring out how things are going to get paid. Not only the people getting paid, but the buildings getting put up in the necessary, the necessary supply chain issues that they need to kind of get through and make sure they're net zero is also a big thing that people are still moving towards also. Not every building going up is in that space, but they're trying to.
Well, and that's well said. So while AI is dominating almost every conversation across every sector, and this is the right group to ask, especially given my position, AI is not replacing anyone. People using AI are replacing those that aren't. Mm-hmm. But construction first, AI is not taking away jobs yet, right?
No, not that I've heard or not that I'm aware of really at all. Actually, it's probably doing the opposite. If you have the ability, I know a couple of contractors that are they have been staying ahead of the curve, and they have people writing their own AI platforms to suit what they're actually looking to accomplish, especially in utilizing some of the, especially with public work. A lot of the public work stuff, they're finding ways to find all the data that they need. They're finding ways to figure out exactly what their formula is, call in a few smart people to kind of write those programs for them and just move forward in that direction so they can control where AI is kind of it's kind of like the new CRM, where it's like, what did I need for a CRM? And then you go out and find it. If you don't find it, you kind of work and customize something and all that sort of stuff. That's what they're doing with some of the AI platforms now. Like, you know what? I'm not getting what I need. Let me find smart people to write it.
What I like about that is that those closed systems are so much better from a privacy and data integrity and intellectual property standpoint.
Yep.
I think those closed systems have so much going for them in that they're really customized to each of those clients' needs.
Keyword being closed systems, meaning Gemini on Google is not a necessarily closed system. Neither is ChatGPT. So as a public service announcement, if you take your confidential data or financial data, blueprints, God forbid, and throw it up.
Good.
How did a landlord do this? He checked the client out and he put it all up there outside of our knowledge and said, well, AI said this. And we said, well, sir, you should, or ma'am, you really should not have done that. Here's how you should have done that. In that Copilot or some other black box version, after you've redacted all of the identifiable information, PPI and so on, only then do you put it up there. But I love teaching CE on this and seeing brokers say, yeah, I use ChatGPT, I integrate it with Excel, and I run all my valuation models on it. And I go, thank you. And I'm out there scrubbing it and learning from you all your comps and all that deep data that you're trying to not share with the world, you've now shared. So thanks to those that don't do this. For the love of God, please put an AI policy into place. Back up, go ahead.
Yeah, so AI is an important tool that we use here all the time. I mean, just all the time, and it's growing. And when you're managing all these properties, and I mean, it's everything is new technology, and we're always trying to be at the cutting edge of that. But in regards to jobs being lost, I know people who work at Microsoft where some top level jobs have been lost because of AI. But I think when you have more of the hands-on property, real property management, bringing in leasing, I think it's, I don't want to say we're all AI proof, but I think that our industry is probably more secure than other ones in that part of the world.
Well, there's the access to data is limited. Half the industry is offline. It's opaque for a reason. So AI, you are correct. AI will struggle to make its way in, but I have to admit, AI helps us at almost every level in our business now as brokers. But again, only as a day one intern. We have to cross-check and recheck all the work. At least that's my 2 cents. Becca? All right.
I applaud and reiterate your AI policy reminder. Every company should.
I try to. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Really, really just so critical and so important. To take back to some of Chris's conversation about expansions and what he's seeing in the construction industry, we had a recent announcement that one of our very, very large downtown children's hospitals is opening their first location. They're going to build in the suburbs. So we're seeing, just like you guys are seeing in Connecticut, we're seeing some really exciting, big picture, big buildings in healthcare that are coming into play and coming into position as healthcare providers start moving a little bit closer to their populations, which is really exciting for us to see here in Chicago. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, in other markets across the country. And I've gotten a couple calls recently from healthcare brokers, investment sales brokers in the healthcare arena, and they sound like they're pretty busy these days too. So I think there felt like there was a little bit of softening in that space, and now I feel like it's back to just kind of.
Well, Becca, you are so right. There's the silver tsunami. This huge group of people, baby boomers, that are coming online for Social Security and for retirement and going into assisted living. And before we started this show, Andreas and I were talking about wealth, the wealth transfer. He has people that have all of these different pieces of real estate, and are their kids going to step up and take over? And those are some major issues going on in the country right now. Is what's happening with this big wealth transfer? What's happening with the who's going to be taking over these companies? Who's going to be taking over these assets? And I know Andreas is always looking for clients, and you are always researching that, and that's a big deal.
Well, no, and I appreciate the plug. EAC Properties, my brokerage, has done incredibly well. We continue to grow, and a good percentage of that is, in fact, investment sales. And many of our clients are looking at their next generation and saying, do they have, to Chris's earlier point, do they have the skills to do this? And can they do this, or even should they do this? And luckily, with Inland's invention of DSTs, not to give a plug back to you,
Yeah.
I have.
It's okay. You can do that all day long. It's okay.
I have an easy answer to clients. It's no, you're not going to give a third back to the government in capital gains. We're going to roll the whole thing over. And if you no longer can manage it, or your kids won't be able to manage it, great. Let's do that now. Well, you have the wherewithal to lead that decision and set them up for generations to come. So thank you to Inland for that, because without the deal, without the conversation, it happens more and more often. As you said, that silver wave. And more often, I will admit, people turn to AI for their answers, and they're wrong. It's like going to, what was it? Something MD early on to see if you're sick.
WebMD, yeah.
Right. So now I have clients who love to go into ChatGPT and say things or ask things. And it's been quite fun to move from, hey, just so you know, whomever, buyer, seller, owner, the stuff on LoopNet or other platforms you see may be stale, because unlike the MLS, there's no requirement to take it down, to now also saying, by the way, if you're looking up zoning regulations in XYZ town using ChatGPT, and ChatGPT doesn't see the answer or find the answer, it's just going to borrow from somewhere else. And this is a real life example. So wherein this client thought he could build 288 units on his land, no.
Wow.
So,
wow.
ChatGPT, the way it came out and what he showed me, I'll tell you what, it looks great. If you didn't have the experience and understanding to know that it was dead wrong at a core level, right? The FAR, the buildable, was wrong. But you'd have to know these things, which is why trusted advisors are so important. Not to mention, AI still does not understand nuance, nor will it understand nuance. There's no common sense there.
Right.
As far as I know, at least I hope. Well, Darren can speak on that next time he's on the show. What I did want to ask Becca on is the AI application in marketing. Is it more or less so? Because as a broker, are we using it? Yes, but it only allows me to move faster and cover more ground. On the marketing side,
I would say that's a similar application in marketing. And I do hear, I think I've shared this horror story here before, that I had a client that was a broker that was using AI to write all of their descriptions. And I mean, what came out was abject lies. These were false information about a property, meaning it was a dilapidated old barn, and the language that he provided me in his brochure was really developed by AI, talked about the wonderful building amenities. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't usually think of a dilapidated old barn that requires a building to be built on top of it to have much in the line of amenities. And returning that conversation, returning that content to him and saying, so you may want to take a peek at this because I don't think it's true, or I have the wrong location, or this is the wrong building. One of these two things are not correlative and cannot be. But as you've always said, Andreas, that it's an intern. You have to actually look at it. You have to read it. And I have a number of colleagues who use it for content purposes, as far as structuring an article, for instance, which is helpful, right? If you want to build an outline, it's phenomenal for helping create that logical flow. But I would remind everyone that it's also the least common denominator. It's pulling from the most available information online. So if you want to sound like you are parroting the most available information online, you should use it to write for you, because you're going to be just like what everybody else says, which is, by the way, not a good way to show your expertise. You actually want to be different than what everybody else is saying online. So my favorite thing to do, and I've had several of these lately, is to interview clients and get their direct perspective on the industry at large, or specific deals within the industry, or transactions that they've done, because the opportunity to highlight how their thought process works and to extract that from their brains, because they're so smart. I am so lucky to get to work with just brilliant real estate professionals, and to then pull that into content that we can put online in thought leadership articles or social media posts and things like that. Like, it's a differentiator when people are really rushing to that least common denominator and rushing towards the basic and the pedestrian, to be able to show expertise that's clearly not what everybody else is saying. Really is exciting.
Seeing a lot of that, like, I know I talked about this a couple shows ago, or maybe it might have been last month, I don't remember, but the same thing with, this is the same reason why the interview process when you're hiring people is completely, is that much more important now, because you can't, everyone is just spitting out the same type of stuff. So it's funny, it's interesting. I've been out and about a lot more lately and talking to a lot of different types of people. And it's interesting because the conversations I'm having, whether I'm talking to a potential member, whether I'm having a conversation at a coffee shop, whatever it is, it almost has a real interview feel to it, because of kind of what Becca was just saying. You need to find out who the person is, what type of knowledge they have in literally every single aspect, every single concept that I'm diving into, where, for lack of a better term, someone can't hide behind a piece of paper or a paragraph or something that they've wrote to you. They can't hide behind an email that they've used ChatGPT to write. So I feel like the phone conversations, the in-person conversations, they're very, I've actually been having a lot of talks with my members about, it's been a while since I had a refresher on that. Explain to me exactly what's going on in your company and kind of what you do. What do you do? And I'm like, yeah, I know I'm the vice president of the association. But I don't build. Give me a breakdown of what you do. And I'll tell you, it's very refreshing, because it's not what I'm seeing on the majority of their websites, because the majority of their websites, they're now using ChatGPT to go, oh yeah, no, that's what we do. And that's what we do. And that's what we do. Okay. But what do you actually, how does it get done? What's the process? Because at some point, I feel in every industry, you could use things to make, like I said, like Beck said, outlines and this and this and this. But at some point it's like, okay, now when do I get to work? Now when do you get to work? What do you actually do now?
You bring up such a great point. I just the other day, the other thing I was in a meeting with Congressman Bill Foster, and he's a rocket scientist, and he's a brilliant guy. He highlighted that the big thing he's concerned about are the graduates of these colleges now that just have grown up with their phones, and the idea of them looking you in the eye and talking it's a lost art for some. These kids haven't experienced it. They just do texting, and that's hurting them. And so we got to, so somewhat we have to get back to the basics of how people can have conversations and the nuances of looking in somebody's face, reading their face, feeling, where their feelings are coming from. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Do you understand what you're doing, and what you're like? When you say something, you're saying it sounds crazy, but it's coming from your thoughts, as opposed to something that you just kind of threw in. And I'm at a point where a lot of my emails, I'm looking at some of my emails sent to me, and I'm like, okay, here's my Calendly link. Let's see if we can set up a call. And I love it. When I get on the call, I've become more invigorated, more excited to jump on and actually have those conversations, to figure out, okay, what's behind the eyes of the person I'm talking to? What's going on? How can we really build together? Is this a person I need in my network, and to what extent? Or is it, am I just going to keep getting, emails or LinkedIn messages? I was looking through my LinkedIn messages last night. That's what sparked this. And the repetitive ones that I'm really not getting back to, and they've gotten really good. They've gotten really close to oh, this person actually read. Okay, cool. They might even mention this. They mention the podcast sometimes. And I'm like, oh, cool. But then you look and you go, oh, this is, wait a
It's
second.
AI. It's not
Yeah,
authentic.
I got 3 of these messages and there may be 2 words apart over the last 3 weeks. Never mind, delete, drop that, so.
Well, and that goes back to getting on the phone, right? 100 calls a day is an average. As a matter of fact, not the minimum, but very close to for a broker. Phone calls, not texts. And I sense snail mail, right? I like sending letters, guaranteed to get to the owner and be put in their hands and opened, right?
Yeah.
The fact is, as the next generation, to Dan's point, and Chris, to what you're saying, if they don't know how to communicate, or all they do is communicate behind a screen, which now is amplified and incredibly critiqued before the message goes out, getting in front of them and having that human moment, which is referred to as humaneering, which is the human spark between. And for all the math teachers out there, it's show the work. Show me the work. Show me how you can do what I'm asking you to do, because the spit and polish is no longer enough.
Yeah. Can you answer questions, or are you just putting questions into some sort
AI.
of system and letting something spit out? Or can you answer a question when you're right, when you're right in front of me? And it doesn't have to be the right answer. That's the best part. It doesn't have to be the dead set right answer. It's about, all right, is this person willing to learn? Are we having a conversation? Can we communicate back and forth? It doesn't have to be that, it's your thoughts is what, like Dan, when you're talking to these people, and Becca, when you're talking to these people who just have so much to offer, it's so much more refreshing and so much more informative and so much more useful than, just kind of, throwing something out there and getting that stock answer.
Wait, but I go back to, why do I need to now update my website? Because it's authentic and it's right. At least I don't have a chat bot answering and it's non-real and so on. When you call my company, while an AI receptionist will take that call and route that call, it's going to get you to a real person to give you a real answer. So I'm very proud of that. But we are updating our website and so on, and it's worked. But we have to evolve. All of us have to evolve as professionals. It's here to stay, and as Saul would say, it will replace us one day, but not in our careers, not right now. And Dan, while I do agree that some senior leadership have been, I don't want to say laid off, I think there are some companies that are mistaking AI as an opportunity to reduce costs by laying off people with real experience. And just wait, let that settle. And when they call those people back and ask them for more money, those people should ask for a lot more money, because there is no replacement for that experience. Truly.
Great point.
I will say the AI has the ability in construction, especially, to make field technicians just that much more valuable. I mean, there is a nice knowledge base that a good field technician, if they harness it correctly, can just become incredible. Incredible, because eventually enough information is going to get pushed through these things to kind of, to clean things out, but at the end of the day, if you were trying to, it's a, kind of a loose example, but if you were trying to use AI to, use it towards robots, pulling wires and all those types of things, not to say it won't happen years and years and years and years down the road, but the reality of it is that just the cost alone and just the liabilities alone of saying, you know what, we're going to replace humans with robots and they're going to be building houses is just not, it's just not, I don't think, not in our lifetime. Not in our lifetime.
The reality is, it might be able to build a house from scratch, maybe if it's modular, but using the electrical example, the reality is electricians are creative when they need to be. And sometimes the yellow wire isn't the yellow wire, right? AI is not going to know that difference until it's too late. That's that human intuition that AI can't be programmed to have. And it can't learn. And it matters.
And I had a very similar, from a more, not a physical standpoint, but I had a conversation with a gentleman today at work, and we were sharing some stories of, I was always taught if you're doing good work, especially if you're in networking, sales, marketing, promotions, service-based stuff, you're going to have a story. There's just going to be a story. If you're hitting the road, you're going to have a story. You shouldn't have to be micromanaged, because whoever's managing you, if they start asking you questions, you should have some sort of story. And it's not a once upon a time story. It's not a BS story. It's a story. You got something to say about the day you've had. And there's certain parts, especially in my job on a daily basis, that are connecting on the back end that AI could never. It's that human, this person said to this person this, and this person said to this person this, and this is how I found this out. It can't be the value that comes out of some of that stuff just cannot be touched, because it's actually happening in here and in all of our brains, in all of our actions, and it's not happening through the means of technology. It might be happening through text messages and through phone calls, but it's not happening through a ChatGPT.
Well, and Chris, one of the big things for your industry, for the building world, for our commercial real estate world, are also being able to get money and get money cheaply. So, Andreas, in your experience, the rates, how are the rates impacting your clients?
Date the rate, marry the property. Number in a spreadsheet. All right. So investors account for it, they adjust for it, and they continue to move. The reality is 80% of transactions are under 6 million. So while institutions who love round peg, round hole, easy deals, right? Grand slams, whatever your sensitivities are, there are many up and comers ready to do business at whatever rates available to them. And as trusted advisors, as long as we help them avoid, or rather get through the speed bumps to success, it means repeat business. So rates, I had one client tell me the other day, 5%. I thought that was fantastic, but it was relationship driven. Reality is 6.8, asset based, location based, bank based. Rates vary. I'm sure Inland will quote me a different rate, and Inland's rate is different than EAC's rate, than my rate. In China, where they score people with a life score, like a credit score, but everything they do in life, including leaving a bad tip, affects the score. I'm sure they
really?
Oh yeah, it's called life score. Yeah,
life score. Wow.
If your kids
could you repeat that one more?
Bad people, your score goes down.
Oh, really?
Oh, if you look it up, it's incredible, invasive.
That's
but
awesome.
Luckily, we live in America.
Wow.
So
that's scary.
Credit scores and credit worthiness and relationships, as always, drive everything. Are you trustworthy? What does trustworthy mean? Having a new website clearly is important now. Having a history, having proof and experience in the industry. None of the fundamentals have changed. How we present our history is changing and is being adapted, of course. But I do want to touch on one thing Chris brought up, AI in construction. The fact that AI never forgets, and those engineers out in the field wearing the meta glasses with cameras can be audited at any time. If a pipeline breaks, they are now going to be able to go back and look at every bolt that was turned and every test that was made. I think that's an incredibly wonderful use of AI, life safety, things of that nature.
Great point.
Yeah, 100%.
Truly. But AI never forgets. And just as when coders, it's called programming bias, right? When we write code, when we go on Facebook, everything we do creates a story and creates a profile that informs the following actions and what we receive. So just like you can end up in a NIMBY group and all you'll hear about is not in my backyard, amplified, AI is the same way. When you type into ChatGPT XYZ and ask about ABC, let's just say that slants towards not in my backyard, because that's a non-political way to say this, it'll start leaning that way. It's going to answer you in the way you want it to answer you.
Great.
That is my one piece of advice to the audience, is to be incredibly wary of how and what you're putting into your AI, because it never forgets. God forbid you share your devices with your kids and what they're putting into AI. Just throwing that out there. But we are at the top of the hour. So that was my one big piece of advice. AI never forgets. Be careful, be intentional, put into place rules. And actually, I'm going to give two pieces of advice. Put into place rules with your AI. And if you don't have it in the commercial brokerage world, and I'm sure across every other sector, there is such a thing as cyber policies, right? Protection, insurance. If you have health insurance, ask your errors and omissions company, do I have cyber protections? That's it for me for today. Dan, over to you. What's the one big piece of advice you want to give our audience?
Well, seeing how this gentleman in our area really invested a lot of money into a project and then having the city council vote it down, my advice is always to be reminded that you need to be engaged in politics. And one of the best ways to do that is through the National Association of Realtors, your state realtors, your local realtors, to be able to work with them, because they have government affairs directors and liaisons that can really do some great groundwork for you in preparing these important votes. And you don't want to be caught empty-handed like this gentleman was the other day when they voted. He's voted down. So be engaged and be involved.
And where was that property? Just so we can bring someone to acquire it and help him out.
Naperville, Illinois. There you
go. Rebekah, over to you. You're to the right of Dan today.
All right. So my recommendation is to embrace technology, test and change and modify your use case as needed. And I do think, Andreas, that your voicemail is the perfect example, because you were smart enough to change it so that your AI assistant in your voicemail doesn't tell me various things. Andreas customized it so that my calls aren't answered in the same way that people who don't know him are, because the people who know him hated him after getting his voicemail.
Okay, so fair enough. And now I'm going to respond to that. To be fair, when we put our AI voicemail, Leo, into place, his name is Leo, you're absolutely right. I had clients and customers that absolutely loved it, half of whom didn't even realize it was AI, half of whom did. And then I had clients who hung up without a message. And I went, great, call back. That's easy enough. They still called. But more to your point, Becca, I set it so that those people in my address book, those in my phone book, didn't get that receptionist. It was my voicemail, so to speak, and my message, which is incredibly important for my close friends and colleagues, because I never want to send you to an AI anything. It's like sending you to level 2 support in India or some other country. I get it. So yes, thank you. Go ahead.
But my point with that is that be willing to adjust your settings, right? Adjust your settings.
Perfection is the enemy of good.
We all can do that. And we all can do that in all of the things that we're doing. Let's just adjust our settings.
100%. Because apparently if you keep an old website, you're not going to go on. What's the best piece of advice you can give the industry?
I am going to move away. I'm going to try to tie things together that we've all been talking about, but move away from the technology stuff. Becca mentioned adjusting your settings. It's funny because before she even said that, I was going to say, it's 2026. It's February 2026. I just want to suggest that everyone find things that kind of fill their cup, because we're talking about AI, we're talking about technology, we're talking about construction and politics and all the things that we are super passionate about. But part of my adjustment of settings for 2026 was to make sure that I got back to things that fill my cup personally, including making sure, some adjustments that get me on the podcast so I'm not missing shows like I did last year. I went to a networking event before the show today that I, again, probably only went to 5 or 6 of those last year because I was too busy catering to everything else that was kind of going on out there. And so my advice going into the new year, just in general, we're early enough in the new year, if you're listening, is to do things to fill your cup. Read a book, listen to our podcast, Get out to more networking events, make some adjustments, adjust your personal settings to get out and do the things that put you in front of the right people, whether that's family, friends, network, co-host, and all of the above. So that's my my thing for 2026.
I love it, Chris. That's actually a great wrap for the show. Again, I want to thank our audience. I want to thank my co-hosts. I want to thank Dan, and I want to also say on Dan's behalf, happy birthday to who this month?
Abraham Lincoln and to Becca's daughter.
Looking forward to seeing everyone next month. First Thursday of the month, every month. Please do rate and review us. It really does help. Download our show anywhere you get your audio on most major social media channels. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next month.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Roundtable, powered by CRECo.ai, your source for the latest in real estate and technology. For past episodes, sector interviews, and more great content, follow us on all social media and YouTube at CRE Collaborative. You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please like, subscribe, and share. It really does help. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next Real Estate Roundtable.